Let us call the Avon Town Council meeting for July 11th to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Robert Pope.
Present.
Bill Holland.
Here.
Jason Puckett.
Present.
Greg Zuzan.
Present.
Don Loudon.
Okay, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Any comments, questions regarding any of the items on the consent agenda? If there are none, is somebody prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda to include today's check register, our June 24th work session minutes, and our June 27th work session, June 24th joint work session meeting minutes, the June 27th work session meeting minutes, and our council meeting June 27th minutes as presented. I'll get it out there eventually. I'm sorry.
Second. We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call, please.
Greg Zuzan.
4.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Bill Holland.
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Department updates. Shelby Pride.
Good evening, Shelby Pride, Parks and Recreation Director. I don't have much of an update, just wanted to give you a Night at the Park recap. We had a fantastic evening here at Town Hall Park on July 3rd. I would estimate between 6,000 and 7,000 people here. We filled up 4 parking lots. We had our shuttle buses going nonstop. The crowd here was amazing. I want to thank my staff and the town staff for volunteering hours and hours. That was a super long day. I think the longest somebody stayed was midnight, bringing in the picnic tables from out there to get them out of the way so that our normal park goers could come on Thursday morning and walk the trails. So thank you guys for your support in that event again. Thank you to those who came and stood at the town booth and handed out goodies. I know the community loves that. They love seeing you guys out there. So thank you.
I wasn't here, I was out of town, but I just want to thank you and your staff and let them know that we appreciate the fine job that they did. Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Steve Moore, Public Works Director. Ready to start our CCMG paving for this year. We have 19 roads we're going to pave. They'll start out with doing handicap ramps at all the locations. Then they'll come back and pave. Some of the first paving they're going to do, or they're planning to do at the end of this month, the speed table at 625 over by Murphy Park and the ball fields should be the first thing that they do. Then they'll head up to 200 north and 150 north and get those two long segments, and then they'll go throughout the neighborhoods in town. 100 North Raceway Roundabout, we're getting close to going into right-of-way acquisition. The roundabout for Angelina Way, we plan on bringing that to bid this fall for a spring construction. The Dan Jones Phase 2 project, they've set the bridge structure, or I guess a big drainage structure, I guess you would call it. They call it a bridge just because of its size, but it's complete as far as in place. All the pieces are in place and move the crane out. Now they have to backfill it, and they're working on stabilizing the road approach going to the north. So making good progress. I see but despite the rain, we've made some really good progress, and I'm pretty happy with where they're at. Dan Jones Phase 3, we are into right-of-way acquisition on that one, and the stormwater project in Avon Heights is probably about 95% complete. So I would say then the next couple of weeks, they should have that wrapped up. And then that will be part of our paving project to restore those two roads that were affected. Pretty much that's it. We did about 7 MS4 inspections, installed 55 street signs, filled about 6 1/3 tons of asphalt worth of pothole patching. And I think that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Moore? Thank you, Steve. Deputy Chief Marguson.
Hello, Dave Marguson, Deputy Chief. I have just a few things. Wanted to make you aware of a officer or officers event that occurred last Friday. Officers Kevin Roach, Pete Michael, and Eric Cheek assisted the Hendricks County Sheriff's Department with a physical domestic between an adult son and a father. The son stabbed the father in the back in the upper right quadrant. Officer Roach and Cheek applied a chest seal to the wound, while Officer Michael maintained scene security. We have applied for life-saving awards for all 3 of those officers to the American Police Hall of Fame, and hopefully we'll hear back from them very soon for that. It's been publicized and spoke about, but I want to remind everyone 2 weeks from tonight is the Night Out Against Crime. That's Thursday, July 25th at Avon High School from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And lastly, Lieutenant Nate Hawk is in the process of putting together scheduling for an upcoming Operation Pullover Blitz 134. It's beginning at the beginning of August. The event's focused on impaired driving enforcement. We'll have extra officers out scheduled to focus solely on patrols related to intoxicated driving or impaired driving due to narcotics and drugs. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Paul Lambie, representing Planning and Building Department. Just a couple of updates. We're continuing to compile a list of potential upcoming revisions to the UDO and working on the process of getting started with that as time allows. So we'll have more updates on that in the future. One of the things we started doing recently is updating our applications for petitions in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Plan Commission. We found there's a lot of references in some of those applications that haven't been updated for years to the old zoning ordinance. We need to change those out, make them reference the UDO. Also just trying to make sure that they're consistent with the rules of procedure for the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Plan Commission, as the case may be. And also just making sure they're consistent with state statute, and that what we're asking for in each particular petition gets us the correct info. So updating our checklist for what needs to be submitted by applicants as well. We can do all that administratively, so we should hopefully have those updated applications on our website in the next couple weeks. And then just one other thing, we have the first steering committee for the comprehensive plan update coming up in the next couple weeks on July 23rd, I believe it is. So we're excited for that process to get underway, and that's it for now.
Any questions for Paul?
July 23rd.
Clerk Treasurer Loker.
I'm working this week on closing out our June to get our June 30 numbers. So we have a budget meeting scheduled for the end of this month with our local rep. And I need those June 30 numbers to be spot on so that we can start presenting our Form 1s and get through this budget process. I believe our first Form 1s are due at the beginning of July or beginning of August. So Ryan, Greg Garitas, and I have been working really hard already this month to get everything to you guys on time.
Thank you. Angel, do you have anything? All right. Let's move on then to public comment. The public may comment on items on the agenda that are not a public hearing or any specific matter within the council's jurisdiction. Please approach the podium with your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. With nobody coming forward, then we'll close that portion of the agenda and move to council comment and liaison reports. Jason.
Was able to attend the police merit board meeting this Monday. Other than that, I don't have anything new to report.
Mr. Pope.
Forgive me, my battery is going low, so I've got this turned off. I attended the school board meeting Monday, but really nothing special to share from it. And then this is the last. I just want to specifically give a shout out to Shelby and your parks department. The night at the park was, holy cow, it was fantastic. It's another great year. You're raising the bar. Keep going. There were people across 36 sitting down, setting up seats in the parking lots over there. So just great job. That's it.
I don't have anything. Mr. Holland?
No, I just echo what Mr. Pope said. It was a good event.
Okay. New business. Public hearing regarding leasing property for the purpose of operating athletic facilities. Shelby, Ryan, are you going to handle that?
I'll handle it. So in order, as you guys know, we entered into an agreement to purchase property at the southwest corner of 625 in US 36, as well as the RBI factory. In order to do that, the law actually requires for us to enter into a lease that we have to do a public hearing. So this public hearing tonight has been advertised, and so you guys just have to open a public hearing, see if anyone would like to speak about the lease, and then you're not approving anything, you're just doing a public hearing tonight.
At 7:13 then, let's open the public hearing regarding the Avon Town Council regarding leasing property for the purpose of operating athletic facilities. With nobody coming forward, then we'll close the public hearing. Any questions for Mr. Cannon? Dan, my only question is this a sublease to the existing lease that's out there, or that we're going to create our own new lease with the owner of the property?
We would be assuming the existing lease. I think it's a maybe second addendum to an original lease, so it's really a third version, but to finish 24 and go into 25. So when you guys, in your packet last time, you had that lease and attachments. So we are assuming the landlord has consented to our taking that, which is required also. So we're just assuming the existing lease between the landlord tenant.
Did they put that consent then in writing or?
They did, and we have it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Taylor? Then we need a motion.
No action tonight,
No action tonight? Okay.
just a hearing. Yeah.
Well, then let's move on. Award quote for the drone show. Shelby.
Good evening again. Shelby Pride, Parks and Recreation Director. Last year, you guys allowed me the opportunity to create a new event, a drone show for Veterans Day. The event was extremely successful, and with your guys' support, I have requested a quote to do another drone show. We would actually get a better deal if we did a 3-year quote. So I have before you in your guys' packet a 3-year quote for 200 drones. Each year, the display cost would be $25,000, which is double. Did this one? Okay. Essentially double the amount of drones for only $5,000 if we did the 3-year contract with them. Sky Elements drone shows, again, they were amazing to work with. They've actually won awards. I don't know if you guys have seen, they got the Golden Buzzer on America's Got Talent. Is that what the Golden Buzzer's on? So really cool opportunity for us to continue to have them at our facility and put on this drone show for the next 3 years. So I guess with that, we would need a motion to accept this and then authorizing the clerk treasurer to make payments. They do require with signature of this, the deposit for the first drone show. And then, so giving the clerk treasurer authorization to make those payments as needed.
It's 50%.
Of the first drone show.
Right.
Yeah.
So 12,500.
Yes.
Any questions for Shelby
I just want to make sure I heard this right. It's 25,000.
Per year.
per year?
I got one for you. We've talked about this. So we're growing the number of drones. The number of drones directly equates essentially to like a pixel count, and
Yep.
it lets us get a more high def version of images up there,
Yes.
maybe more complex images, et cetera. We're already kind of taking another step, upgrading those now. What happens if this year we like it, we still think it's great, and next year we're like, you know what, let's go to the 300. I think that's the max that they offer to get the most high def version of whatever display what does that do to this agreement? What does that do to the cost?
We would just do an addendum to it and say, hey, can we add, we've got our contract for the 200 drones at $25,000. Can we add 100 more drones? And just do an addendum to this. I would bring that back to you guys for that difference of the cost.
We would strictly be paying the delta of just the cost of that particular, those
I can 100% double check on that, but that is the way I understand it as it is now.
Okay. I'm good with it. It is. I'm
Okay.
trying to think forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Any other questions for Shelby? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I got it. I will make a motion that we we award the drone show contract to Sky Elements and authorize the clerk treasurer to make payment as necessary.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please. Oh, questions?
Yeah, just one more quick question. This is for the Veterans Day show only. Is that correct?
For this year, yes. The display 2 and display 3 date, we could do those if we want to go in a different direction. We just need to give 3 months for them to build the show because it is 100% custom.
All right, thank you.
Roll call.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Greg Susan.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Marathon Encroachment Agreement. Mr. Cannon?
Yeah, I'll start, and Steve's here to answer any questions you guys have as well, and Dan has reviewed this too, so he can answer any questions you guys have too, but this is on and I apologize, there wasn't an exhibit in your guys' document, but, or maybe there was in the agreement, but Logistics Way, which is the road through Avon Landing, and that will run next to Sephora. The road kind of bends and goes south, and it crosses actually a Marathon pipeline that was there long before we ever built the road. So they have an easement in that vicinity. And so we are now looking to cross that easement. And so in order for us to encroach on that, Marathon has said, we'll allow you to encroach, but we require these certain things from you. And so that's what this agreement basically is. This is pretty typical. We actually entered into an agreement like this with them in the past, but the width and the location of the road actually kind of changed. So they asked that we actually go through and do it again. And so essentially that's what it is. It just allows, we're not actually building the road. The road's being constructed by Van Trust as part of the Sephora building, but the town will eventually take over the road. So that's why the agreement is between the town and Marathon, so that we have the ability to maintain it, upkeep it too. Van Trust will have to enter an agreement as well to do that, but you guys don't necessarily have to look at that. So I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Any questions for Mr. Cannon? Mr. Holland?
So what is it they require?
They required that they be allowed to inspect anything we do. They normally have somebody out there. If they even approve our plans, so they want to make sure that from an elevation standpoint, whatever our road design is, that we have to make sure we do that. And then normally we have to call them if we're doing certain things, or we're maintaining the road, or we're doing anything to disturb the area around the pipe. Then we have to notify them. And if they want to have someone on site to inspect it and to monitor the construction, we have to do that as well. Steve, did I cover anything, or is there anything else in there that?
So different places along the pipeline.
Steve, why don't you come up here?
Steve Moore, Public Works Director. Yeah, so different locations along the pipeline. If we're doing work and we don't have institutional knowledge of the actual depth, we'll have to pothole, locate the pipeline, get an elevation, and make sure that the elevation difference with our construction is adequate. So they're just making sure that we're far enough away from their pipeline. That's all it is.
Yeah, I would say I might answer the question a little differently, but I mean, what the agreement's really about is Marathon saying, look, we were here first and we have a pipe down there. We'll let you build something on top of us, but our rights aren't going to change. So if we need to cut your road after you build it to fix our pipeline, we have the right to do so. If we need to get in there, if your road interferes with our pipeline anyway, we have the right to tell you to get out of here. So it's just typical encroachment agreement where there is a superseding right, which is what that pipeline has. So we're just asking their permission. This is much like you would have when you had, and we've had to do this many times over sanitary lines, water lines, natural gas lines, and petroleum pipelines, especially in the Indianapolis area where you've got a little bit of that. So for us, it's just saying, look, well, we want a road anyway. We need a road right here. We'll agree to your terms. We'll provide protections to you, and we understand what we're getting into.
Okay, thank you.
I doubt this would be the case, just because of the nature of that road and this development. What would happen if we need to expand that road? We need to widen it. Are we just going to be doing this again?
We'd go back to them. We'd have to modify the agreement. We'd have to get their consent. And again, I guess my guess would be that they would allow an expansion of our encroachment, but it's all about, to them, it's all about impacts of the road and them being able, us understanding that they can cut our road. And we, nobody else can cut our roads. Someone else cuts our road, they're in trouble. They have to get our permission. They have to do it. But this says they can come in and cut our road, and that's just how it goes. And if we're agreeing in this agreement, like, we understand we may have to stop traffic for them. We may have to divert traffic. So yeah, same thing. It doesn't matter to them how wide the road is or anything like that. It's all impacts to their pipeline.
Thank you.
Do we know the depth of their pipe? I'm just curious.
Yes, we do. I mean, I don't know it off the top of my head, but yeah, they potholed it and we have elevations for it. Those were provided to the engineer when they designed the road.
It's deep enough that we don't have to put a weight restriction out there, do we?
No.
Yeah, we've received detailed design.
All right.
Yeah, so again, it varies throughout. Obviously, the elevations change and their pipeline is fairly constant, but it undulates as well. But everywhere we're working, they have pothole patched intermittently and are potholed to locate the pipe, the depth. So they're comfortable with where it is, and so are we.
My only question in the agreement, it looks like it was a 12-page agreement, and we're missing pages 11 and 12.
I'm not sure, Greg. I don't know if that reference like exhibit A and exhibit B or something.
I would just say maybe before we sign off on, just ask them if there are 2 additional pages that we need, or there's only 10. Any other
Yeah,
questions for
I
Mr.?
would ask when
It's a
you,
third-party
yeah, if you guys, yeah, it's the third-party signature page. So what I would ask is, this is still going through multiple reviews, so I would ask if you guys are agreeable to approving it, that you approve it subject to Dan, if there's any minor revisions in the agreement, that it's subject to legal signing off on any modifications. Again, I wouldn't change the intent of what you guys are approving, but there's 3 parties who are all kind of reviewing this, and again, we'll confirm, make sure there's not something with those pages, and that covers that concern for you too, Greg.
Any other questions? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the marathon encroachment agreement as presented, subject to approval of our legal team.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Jason Puckett.
4.
Next item on the agenda is the final reading of ordinance 2024-26, zoning amendment for 24-06 Burnett Park.
Good evening again. For the record, I'm Paul Lambie, Senior Planner representing the Planning and Building Department. Ordinance 2024-26 is a zoning map amendment for Burnett Park. Case number ZA 2406, which was approved by the Plan Commission unanimously on June 24th. It would rezone 21.4 acres at the northeast corner of Dan Jones and 100 South from R2 to the institutional zoning classification to provide for park use, and it includes approval of a master plan, which conceptually lays out how the park will generally be developed. Shelby from the Parks Department is here representing the petitioner. If you have any questions, but if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Any questions for Mr. Lambie or for Shelby? Somebody prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-26, the zoning amendment 2406 Burnett Park as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland.
4.
Next item on the agenda is the final reading of ordinance 2024-20, Town Code Revision, Article 2-6. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, this ordinance makes technical revisions to the Police Department and Merit Board section. No substantial changes or substantive changes over here, just to clean up and technical revisions to this ordinance. This is final reading.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? Somebody like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-20 Town Code Revision, Article 2-6 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Next item on the agenda is the final reading of ordinance 2024-21, Town Code Revision, Article 2-7. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, this ordinance would make technical changes to your code regarding your town hall. And it really makes 2 basic changes. One, this ordinance talks about what is housed in your town hall building, and it mentions the police. So we've taken that out since they have their own building now. And then there's a slight change in the EOC, equal opportunity use provision, to insert an omitted word.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? Need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-21, Town Code Revision, Article 2-7 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4. Next item on the agenda is the final reading of ordinance 2024-22, Town Code Revision, Article 2-10 and 2-11. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. This ordinance makes changes in two departments. 210 relates to the Parks Department, 211 Public Works. So the changes for Parks is that you now have a Parks Director, and it makes that Park Director inserts her into the code and also notes that she is a member of the a staff member for the Parks Advisory Council. So formally kind of inserts your new director into the code. Then Public Works, as we discussed last time, there was a Public Works Committee earlier in the history of the town. We don't really operate that anymore, so it deletes that provision in 211.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? We need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-22, Town Code Revision, Articles 2-10 and 2-11 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Next item is final reading of ordinance 2024-23, Town Code Revision, Article 2-12 and 2-13. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, this ordinance makes changes in two departments, also the Area Development Commission and the Economic Development Commission. As it relates to the RDC, the major change in the law since this was updated is that your clerk treasurer is now the treasurer of the RDC. And so that change is noted in the Redevelopment Commission Section 212, along with other minor technical non-substantive changes. And then with the EDC in 213, again, just technical changes made to that article.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? Need a motion, please?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2024-23, Town Code Revision, Article 2-12 and 2-13 as presented.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Robert Pope.
4.
Next item is the final reading of ordinance 2024-24, Town Code Revision, Article 2-16. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, this ordinance makes technical changes to your ADA provisions and also your retention schedules. The retention schedule tells your staff and other public officials how long they must maintain certain types of public documents. Great detail provided, as you can see in those retention schedules. The state of Indiana regulates this. They've updated these retention schedules. We've now just made changes to bring those into compliance with those new retention periods. As technology advances, there are going to be more and more changes to digital information and retention rules regarding that. And that's what a lot of these relate to. But they're in your code book so that your employees and your elected officials can easily find them if they have a question, how long they must maintain a certain type of record. So again, just these changes just bring the retention schedule up to current with Indiana laws and regulations.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? We need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-24, Town Code Revision of Article 2-16 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Roll call, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Jason Puckett,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Bill Holland.
4.
Next item is legal counsel report. Mr. Taylor.
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item is the second of two public comment opportunities. The public may comment on items on the agenda that are not a public hearing or on a specific matter within the council's jurisdiction. Please come forward, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. With nobody coming forward, then we'll close that portion of the agenda and move to council comment. We'll move to council calendar.
That is me tonight. I want to remind you guys that in support of National Night Out, you have elected to move our meeting on July 25th. You will now be meeting on July 24th, which is a Wednesday. Same time, same place, 7 p.m. here in the council chambers. It has been noticed already, and Angel has created a very large format for the lobby as well.
Just a heads up, I do plan to attend that. I may be late. I'll be coming from an event downtown, but I think I'll be able to be here by 7.
Perfect.
Just to confirm, no work session that night. correct?
There is no work session that night.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned.